Shall we start contemporary or shall we start with 5 minutes?
Or 2 minutes.
Everybody's in. We've got 14 participants already. 15. Numbers are rising. So everything's fine with you, Rebecca?
Yes, I'm fine.
Slept well?
Más o menos.
Okay. En español. Deepak ji, you just let me know when we are about to start, okay? You will probably speak some kind of short introduction and then let me do my part.
सभी को नमस्कार। डॉक्टर विवेक कोहली, आपका स्वागत है सर। नमस्कार। सभी को आज के इस कार्यक्रम में आप सभी का हार्दिक स्वागत है। शिक्षा संस्कृति उत्थान न्यास और राजकीय आदर्श संस्कृति वरिष्ठ माध्यमिक विद्यालय के सौजन्य से आयोजित इस कार्यक्रम में आप सभी का हार्दिक स्वागत है। आज के इस कार्यक्रम की शुरुआत हम मां सरस्वती की आराधना से करेंगे। सो आई वेलकम साक्षी शर्मा, a student of Delhi University, for Saraswati Vandana. Sakshi Sharma.
Good evening to all. Myself Sakshi और मैं आज इस वेबिनार की शुरुआत एक सरस्वती वंदना से कर रही हूँ। माँ सरस्वती शारदे, माँ सरस्वती शारदे, पूर्ण इस अज्ञान उदधि से वीणा पानी तार दे, तार दे, तार दे। माँ सरस्वती शारदे, माँ सरस्वती शारदे, सुर ब्रह्मा शिव विष्णु गजानन जिन चरणों को सेवते, सुर ब्रह्मा शिव विष्णु गजानन जिन चरणों को सेवते। हम शिशु हैं अज्ञानी माता, इन चरणों को तार दे, वीणा पानी तार दे, तार दे, तार दे। माँ सरस्वती शारदे, माँ सरस्वती शारदे, माँ सरस्वती शारदे, इस अज्ञान उदधि से वीणा पानी तार दे, तार दे, तार दे। माँ सरस्वती शारदे, माँ सरस्वती शारदे। धन्यवाद।
धन्यवाद।
धन्यवाद साक्षी। पुनः आप सभी का आज के इस कार्यक्रम में स्वागत है। आज के इस कार्यक्रम का उद्देश्य कोरोना महामारी से जूझ रही हमारी शिक्षा में जर्मनी की एजुकेशन सिस्टम पर क्या इम्पैक्ट हुआ, इस बारे में जानने के लिए आज हमारे बीच मार्टिन बायर और उनकी एक जूनियर स्टूडेंट रेबेका है, जो आज हमें द इम्पैक्ट ऑफ कोरोना ऑन जर्मनीज एजुकेशन सिस्टम के बारे में बताएंगे। मिस्टर मार्टिन बायर was born in Weblingen. Weblingen is a city in southern Germany और वर्तमान समय में ये सदर्न जर्मनी के विनेंडन शहर में रह रहे हैं। पेशे से एक शिक्षक, एक सीनियर टीचर लेसिंग जिम्नेजियम स्कूल, जो कि एक गवर्नमेंट स्कूल है, उसमें ये जर्मन डिपार्टमेंट के हेड हैं और इंग्लिश एज अ फॉरेन लैंग्वेज पढ़ाते हैं। कल्चरल और एजुकेशनल एक्सचेंज प्रोग्राम में मार्टिन 3 बार भारत आ चुके हैं। भारतीय संस्कृति में इनकी एक विशेष रुचि है और एक बात जिनसे मैं बहुत ज्यादा प्रभावित हुआ इनके साथ, वो है कि इन्होंने अपनी मंशा रखी कि इनके बेटे 18 वर्ष के हों उससे पहले वो इन्हें भारत भ्रमण कराना चाहते हैं। इसके पीछे एक विशेष बात है कि वो अपने बच्चों को भारतीय संस्कृति से रूबरू कराना चाहते हैं, जिस संस्कृति को ये बहुत गहनता से पढ़ रहे हैं। और आगे जैसा आप सुनेंगे, इन्हें तो सुनने के बाद पता चलेगा, मैं स्वयं इनके साथ रहा हूं तो मैंने देखा बहुत गहन अध्ययन करते हैं और भारतीय संस्कृति को बहुत नजदीक से महसूस करने की कोशिश करते हैं। तो मिस्टर मार्टिन बायर, I welcome you on behalf of Shiksha Sanskriti Utthān Nyās and Government Model Sanskriti Senior Secondary School. Rebecca is a junior student in Lessing Gymnasium School, and as far as my knowledge is concerned, she is one of the best orator of Mr. Martin Bayer. And I have seen the students of Lessing Gymnasium, they are really, I have never felt like that there is any difference between the Indian students and the students at Germany, especially Lessing Gymnasium. So I welcome you both in today's program. Now I request, अब मैं अनुरोध करूंगा अध्यक्ष शिक्षा संस्कृति उत्थान न्यास डॉक्टर विवेक कोहली जी से कि वे शिक्षा संस्कृति उत्थान न्यास का परिचय हम सभी को दें और हमारे आज के मुख्य वक्ताओं को भी बताएं कि शिक्षा संस्कृति उत्थान न्यास किस क्षेत्र में और कैसे कार्य कर रहा है। डॉक्टर विवेक कोहली।
थैंक यू दीपक जी, many thanks and many congrats for this wonderful program. You have connected us to Germany. Again, congrats and thanks. Honorable Mr. Martin Bayer, Head of Germany Language Department. All are requested to please mute your mic. All are requested. Honorable Mr. Martin Bayer, Head of Germany Language Department, Delegate of Cultural Affairs, Lessing Gymnasium, Winnenden, Germany, and his student, Rebecca, a student in Lessing Gymnasium, Winnenden, Germany. Welcome to India, welcome to this webinar. Honorable Shri Satyendra Kumar Sorot, Principal Government Model Senior Secondary Sanskriti School, Sector 55, Faridabad, and our Shri Deepak Vashisht ji, who is a lecturer in mathematics and doing a wonderful work in the area of Vedic mathematics, working in Government Model Sanskriti Senior Secondary School, Sector 55, Faridabad, and all the listeners, audience, welcome. Shiksha Sanskriti Utthān Nyās. Shiksha Sanskriti Utthān Nyās, as the name indicates, it is an organization dedicated to promote Indian culture Indian values. This society, this NYAS, it was founded by Shri Dinanath Ji Batra. He was the founder president. He is the national president of this NYAS, Shiksha Sanskriti Utthan NYAS. And Honorable Shri Atul Bhai Kothari, he is the national secretary of Shiksha Sanskriti Utthan NYAS. This NYAS was founded on 24th May 2007. And the main purpose, the main aim, the major objective of this NYAS is to give a new alternative to our education, to our country's education. I want to tell Mr. Bayer, I want to tell Madam Rebecca that this NYAS, this organization, in working in many areas like Naitik Shiksha, moral education, Charitra Nirman, character building, Vyaktitva Vikas, personality development, Shikshak Shiksha, teacher education, Paryavaran Mein Shiksha, environment education, मातृभाषा में शिक्षा, एजुकेशन इन मदर टंग, प्रबंधन शिक्षा में भारतीय दृष्टि, मैनेजमेंट एजुकेशन इन इंडियन पर्सपेक्टिव, इतिहास शिक्षा में भारतीय दृष्टि, हिस्टोरिकल एजुकेशन इन इंडियन पर्सपेक्टिव, तकनीकी शिक्षा, टेक्निकल एजुकेशन, शिक्षा की स्वायत्तता, ऑटोनॉमी इन एजुकेशन, प्रतियोगी परीक्षा, कॉम्पिटिटिव एग्जाम्स, शोध, रिसर्च, वैदिक गणित, Vedic mathematics. So this organization is working in many areas, in school education, in higher education, in university education. Friends, recently our Indian government has announced national policy of education, new education policy. And for that, in the state of Haryana, we have formed two committees. One, to look after higher education, how to implement national education policy in higher education, and another, how to implement national education policy in school education. We have different committees. We have different committees in all these areas, and all are working vigorously. All are working in in this program. So this is our Shiksha Sanskriti Utthan Nyas, dedicated to work in the area of Indian culture, Indian values, Indian education, to make the education, to Indianize our education. So once again, I welcome our Germany friends. Welcome to India. Welcome. Thank you.
Dhanyavad, sir. Thank you very much. Now, I would like to welcome Shri Rakesh Bhatia ji, Co-Coordinator Vedic Mathematics, शिक्षा संस्कृति उत्थान न्यास. सर, आज के इस कार्यक्रम में जुड़ने के लिए आपका हार्दिक स्वागत है और आपके आशीर्वाद से हम इस कार्यक्रम का शुभारंभ करेंगे. श्री राकेश भाटिया जी वैदिक गणित के एक्सपर्ट हैं. श्री राकेश भाटिया is an expert of Vedic mathematics, and the programs all over India, Vedic mathematics is, I request the left to please. All the programs of Vedic mathematics which Shiksha Sanskriti Utthan Nyas is doing is being run under his guidance only. So I welcome you, sir, in today's program. Now, moving forward, sir, आपका स्वागत है.
Deepak ji, and you are doing a wonderful job, and you have spread your culture to the another country also. I welcome to Mr. Martin Bezer and Rebecca, and thank you very much, sir. And we appreciate your guidance, and we we are thankful to you for this webinar. Thank you, Deepakji. Thank you,
sir.
and
Thank you
carry
very
on your program. Thank you.
Now thank you, sir. Thank you very much. Now I hand over the platform to Mr. Martin Bayer to start his talk. Mr. Martin Bayer, it's over to you now.
Thank you very much for this warm welcome, which once again proves that India knows what they do when they say Atiti Devo Bhava, our guests, our gods, even online. I'm going to talk about the impact of Corona on the German school system. Namaste, Swagat, and welcome tonight. Also, hi to Rebecca. The impact of Corona on Germany's school system, Meri Hindi Nahi Achi Hai, which is why the presentation will be conducted in English. First, let us welcome our esteemed guests from the branch of Shiksha Sanskriti Utanyas of Haryana, Shri Jagram Singh Ji, Principal Dr. Vivek Kohli, Dr. Sanjeev Sharma, and from Government Sanskriti Senior Secondary School of Faridabad, Principal Shri Satendra Soroji, Vice Principal Shri Veresh Sharma Ji, and our lovely host tonight, my friend and fellow teacher Deepak Ji, a wonder of talent and a role model for every teacher. I am Martin Bayer of Lessing Gymnasium, and my precious co-speaker tonight is Rebecca Fearing, one of our most excellent, one of our most outstanding junior students. Lessing Gymnasium, which I have the honor of introducing today, is a government school of roughly 900 students and 80 teachers in the state of Baden-Württemberg, which is in the south of Germany. The area is densely populated and rich in attractions. Should you be willing to come and see, you're warmly welcome. The GDP in this area is among the highest in Europe, and Stuttgart is the next biggest city. This is the place where the automobile was invented. At Lessing Gymnasium, we offer a wide range of academic subjects besides maths and, of course, German and English. We offer science, Spanish, Latin, religious education, biology, chemistry, physics, astronomy, drama, geography, ethics, and social studies. We've got a choir, a classical orchestra, various sports clubs, and lots of other extras, including debating, all of which sadly cannot take place because of Corona. Nowadays, the local infection rates, as you might be interested in that, are down at 14 with a tendency to rise. In all of Germany, about 90,000 people have died of COVID-19 since the beginning of the crisis. What are we going to talk about tonight? First, Pehla, a few facts about the German school system and our local school. Second, Dusra, the current situation of Corona in Germany. Third, Tisra, the problems inflicted on us by the crisis. Fourth, Chota, how we try to manage it. And Panchwa, my personal conclusions before Rebecca will present a student's point of view. If you have any questions concerning my talk, just stop me or type your question into the chat, and I shall be glad to answer your questions, whatever they may be. Before we come to the core of the matter, let me show you some pictures from Lessing Gymnasium, which give you an impression of the place. May I request Deepak Ji to show us the pictures from Lessing Gymnasium, if possible. I can do this myself, no problem whatsoever. Okay, I think we need to wait for Deepak Ji.
Wait, Martin, I'll just share.
Yeah, sure. This is just to give you an impression of what our school looks like. especially in the days of Corona. We are undergoing a renovation process these days. So there are quite a few things are different these days, but I think you can still, gain some impressions about what a typical secondary school in Germany looks like with all the precautions we have taken to make Corona not such a big problem. We'll probably start from the outside and move into the building a little bit more so that you can see some of the pictures. All right, here we go. First picture. So actually, this is just the cover picture. Rebecca and me will move on to the second picture now, which shows our school from the outside. As you can see, there's still some work going on. We are undergoing a renovation process. There's the bus stop over there, and this is our bicycle stand over there. Actually, the weather is much better today than yesterday when I took the picture. There was a lot of rain, and if you see the ongoing newscast from Germany, we had disastrous rain in the west of Germany, but here it's all fine. When we move on to the second picture, we see the main entrance of Lessing Gymnasium, and here you can see one of those social distance markers that we've got everywhere. This is the main entrance. This is how we enter the building, and as soon as we're in, we usually have to disinfect our hands. All the students do that on a regular basis, and at the third picture gives you an impression of the lower floor with the lockers. And as you can see here, there's a German motto printed or sticked to the staircase. Heute ist ein guter Tag. In Hindi, we would probably say, wo acha den aaj. Wo aaj acha den. More or less. Okay, usually you can see the different posters we use to inform the students about the safety precautions we have to take because of Corona. And you see those yellowish lines sticking to the floor. Those are the markers for where to go and where not to go. And we will move on to the next picture. Again, we've got those stickers on the floor, and you can see students have to go this way when they leave the building, and they will enter the building on this side of the room. And again, some lockers. Let us move on to the next picture. This is one of the rare glances you will ever get of the staff room. We've got some disinfectant here. We've got masks. We've got everything we need to make sure that our students are safe. All of those materials are usually provided by the community of Winnenden. Let us move on to the next picture. This is the teacher's bathroom. Again, we have to remind our colleagues as well of the safety precautions. And here's one of those disinfectant donors that we can use. Can we move on to the next picture, please? Yes, here we go. 2 different masks and 2 different tests. One is for saliva, the other one is for the regular nose drilling contest, which takes place in our classrooms, just to make sure that everybody is perfectly safe. We'll move on. This is something very special. It is at first glance only a social distance marker, but as you can see the symbol here, this is one of our local charities, which is a very important charity in all of southern Germany, and they take care of victims of accidents. And now they're also committed to make our life better in Winnenden, especially at our school. Can we move on to the next picture, please? This is one, here we go again. This is also the Björn Steiger Stiftung, which has donated those facial masks for younger students. And since they were incredibly difficult to get, we could tell that we are very, very much, we are very thankful for Björn Steiger Stiftung for providing these. This is a typical Moodle room that we use for distant learning, and especially during the peak of the Corona crisis, all our students were using those Moodle rooms. Some liked it, some didn't, but we all profited from it. The next picture, please. This is our school's website. It is in German only. We've got no Hindi version, sadly, and we don't have any English version as well. But if you enter LGV Winnenden, you will at least get a chance to look at some of the pictures. All right, the last picture shows you my name and my email address. If you've got any questions that you don't want to ask in the chat, feel free to ask. All right, this is just a short presentation to give you an idea of what school looks like. Bharat Mata Ki Jai, of course, this is the last thing to say. All right, we will move on with my presentation. If you would like to deactivate your mics, that would be very helpful because I need to focus on my notes. Thank you. All right, now Corona and schools in Germany. When it comes to Corona, we need to be aware that the German school system differs a lot from the Indian school system. My esteemed colleague Deepak Ji has given you a short introduction to the German school system. There are a few things that I'd like to point out as well. More than 80% of our students attend government schools, which is a fact which is only little known in India. The school system is organized on a state level and not on a federal level, which makes a few things more difficult in the eye of the crisis. Many schools do not hand out electronic devices to their students. There are only a few schools that do that, but our school does not do that. Before the crisis, we had only little experience with distant learning arrangements, which proved to be fatal in the course of the crisis, but we have learned from that. And Germany's online resources for schools are rather sparse. We don't have any central hub for learning and training materials. So when the crisis struck in 2020, we faced a number of problems. Firstly, we had to close down schools within short notice of only a few days. Second, many students were not trained to access pre-arranged learning arrangements. Many families were not able to provide sufficient resources like tablets or laptops. And the majority of teachers had little to no experience with online learning platforms. And sadly, it took us a while to get adjusted to the whole thing. There were also some teachers who did not have sufficient technical equipment, but also, again, we were able to cope with the situation after a few days and weeks. Privacy issues popped up quite quickly, immediately. In Germany, we have a very strict legislation on privacy, and that is a special thing in Germany. So whenever we get in touch with schools from America or India, it is actually difficult to balance the privacy issues Germany is so desperately trying to preserve and the interests of our partners. And last but not least, we ran out of disinfectants and facial masks rather quickly, and the national government found it difficult to organize some more. And probably the most important thing, nobody had experienced anything like this before. The last epidemic in Germany was about 70 years back in the 50s when schools were closed to influenza. So nobody had really any hands-on experience with a pandemic. It is completely new to us all. And I think that's the same in India. So what did we do to tackle the crisis? I'm going to talk about my school in particular. I'm not saying that we handled it perfectly, but in 2 years, in 2 years, we had not a single case of infection at our school. Of course, there were some teachers and some students that got infected, but as far as we know, it happened in their private lives, not at school. In just a few days, we set up mailing lists for all students. Former teachers were instructed how to use Moodle as the main communication tool. It had been pre-installed at our website. At first, however, we did not have any visual contact with our students, also due to privacy. We called our students on a regular basis to ensure everything was going well. After several months, when the first wave was over, students were able to return to their classroom. And now that was a new episode in the corona crisis. By then, we had taken a number of safety precautions, especially our principal, Mr. Steil, made a few very, very sensible precautions that made it easy for us to adjust to the new situation. We had limited the number of students to 15, providing one group with homeschooling materials while the other group was present at school. Disinfectant donors were installed at the main entrance, in the bathrooms, and in all classrooms. The arts department created a series of stickers to inform everybody about the corona rules. We made sure that windows were open every 20 minutes. We set up walking plans for the entire buildings. Students had to wear facial masks on the entire premises. We offered only the main subjects, such as German, English, maths, and we did not mix the groups. And last but not least, we have prioritized the well-being of our students and not their academic performance, which was a very sensible thing to do when we look at the consequences of the crisis. Parents could decide whether they should send their kids to school or not, and it was decided that all students would be promoted to the next year, regardless of their academic skills. It was not easy, though. We should keep in mind that in early March 2021, everyone was back at school. And actually, at first, we were not allowed to sing or recite or have students engage in cooperative learning. And as you might know, cooperative learning is one of the things that are absolutely commonplace in German classrooms. And we were not able to engage in such activities. Teachers did not meet on a daily basis to cooperate and to coordinate. Staff meetings happened online, which made teachers more reluctant to share their ideas. And language teaching with face masks is really difficult because you have to watch the teacher's mouth to be able to perform the phonetics of a foreign language. We had to offer homeschooling materials and teach regular classroom teaching. Then parents complained about Moodle and suggested other channels like Zoom and Teams, which always meant conflicts with the German privacy regulations. So when we came out of the first wave, many people thought it was over, despite warnings from the government. So the second wave struck. Again, we had to send our students home in late September. Luckily, things went better. However, time was running. Academic progress was rather slow, painfully slow. We had to write class tests. Without class tests, you cannot promote any students to the next year. Then students had to sit their finals in early spring. It was impossible to imagine what would have happened if we would not be able to, just to let our students pass their exams. So what we did was we made exceptions for senior students who were taught with protective masks in a regular classroom setting. Airing conditions were improved. Almost no German classroom has air conditioning. So what we did was opening the windows more or less. Then it became quite cool because in Germany in January or February, temperatures can reach a minimum of about 20 degrees below zero. So it was actually quite chilly. So students brought along some warm jackets and rugs. So that looked rather funny, but it was a good thing to do. The state government postponed the final exams, and publishing company offered free resources for students that we could use while teaching online. All in all, it went quite well. Students passed their exams. Just a few students became ill. And of course, we could not celebrate graduation ceremonies as we used to, which was a bit of a pity for the senior students. Once again, we thought it was over when the third wave struck and in October. However, the crisis had become a permanent problem, so we knew what to do. First, parents had been pre-informed this time. Students knew exactly what to do. Online teaching went much better. Server capacities have been increased. We used Big Blue Button for visual interaction, which made a lot of things easier as well. The number of class tests was limited to 3. Ventilation was improved. And during break time, we took those brief little walks around the campus, and the final exams were to take place in summer when the infection rates had gone down the previous year. So actually, everything was working perfectly. We still did not have any infections at school. So in early March 2021, everyone was back at school. And I can assure you it was a happy day for us all, because such a long time at home can be rather demanding, both for the families who were struggling and for the students as well, who lost their motivation, their learning motivation, because they longed to work together with other students. So actually, you could see and sense that students were absolutely happy and enjoyed being back to see their classmates and their teachers. And of course, the problem was not over yet, but one thing had changed. We could test our students twice a week to provide safe learning conditions. The tests were provided by the city of Winnenden with no additional costs for teachers and students. So all the students were tested. I cannot say they enjoyed it, but it became an everyday business. We have become familiar with the whole procedure. We can now offer regular classes with compulsory masks in the classroom. We can offer a limited range of sports with special precautions. Students can work in teams and do partner work, and everything is almost back to normal. Looking back, what did the crisis show? What did we learn about the German school system? What did we learn about the crisis and its implications for the necessary change within our education system? First of all, one thing that became quite clear to us is that distant learning cannot replace cannot replace personal interaction. There is no such thing as face-to-face interaction between teachers and students. Second, we really need to invest billions in digital resources. Germany needs to comply with the OECD recommendations. Third, we must find a way how to balance privacy issues and efficiency in online school administration. Fourth, we must set up technical environments we can maintain ourselves. We cannot leave the field of education to private players like Microsoft. If we do so, we will lose precious resources. Staying in touch, which is number 5, is incredibly important for everyone in the education system. During the crisis, the number of students who had mental problems has gone up significantly. We need togetherness. 6, we need to fight social injustice in our education system. We have left too many students with a poor background behind. And 7, ladies and gentlemen, we need international solidarity. This is a battle we cannot win alone, so we should cooperate. Now, let me hand this over to Rebecca. She is definitely the best person to tell us how students have experienced the crisis. Rebecca, are you there?
Yes, I'm there.
Okay, how has the crisis affected you and your fellow students?
So first of all, my name is Rebecca. I'm a student of Gymnasium and I'm 17 years old. And I used to be a head student of Lessing last year, already during the crisis. And I'm a really outgoing person. Usually I love to go out and spend the whole day at sports or with my friends or at school. And in the beginning of COVID, it was pretty hard to not being able to have social contact or personal interaction. My sister and myself had to study from home, and my parents were working a lot because they both were doctors. So we didn't get any help from them, and we had to help out each other. But my father always says that the young generation is much better at adapting than the adults. And that's what came true. We were able to adapt what we had, and we were able to, all through, we had, it was hard to stay disciplined without having a structured timetable. Most of my classmates and even myself, we managed to do the best out of we could do. That's the point.
Yeah, this is actually true for the very first weeks of the corona crisis. And there were also lots of students who were struggling with the online classrooms. Rebecca, can you describe what the typical problems were for students when they were working with those online platforms like Moodle and whatnot?
So first of all, it's really hard for us to be, if you're a child, to be disciplined without having somebody in front of you telling what to do. It's hard to do it on your own. So this was one really huge point. And at the beginning, we didn't have the video conferences. So it was also hard to do the tasks or exercises on our own. Then one point as well is that we really like this working together from students to students. We didn't had in COVID, but with the video conferences, we started to have this interaction again. Is there anything else I can say? Personally, I think that the exchange between the students and the teachers was one of the most missing things during COVID. But with the time we got it and it was getting better. And as well, we had something like feedback on our Moodle platform. So every time you had to upload a task or an exercise, you got the feedback from the teacher, which was really good because you got individual supported by your teachers. But it came within the second or third wave, so it took long and it was hard and it was a process, and it's still a process.
Yeah, thank you very much, Becky. As you have been one of our head students in the last few years, can you just describe what the student council did to help the students alleviate their problems during the corona crisis? Because there was a couple of things that the student council set up for students just to make it easier for them to cope with the situation.
So for us as school and for us as student council, school isn't just a place to study and to learn. It's also a place to live and to develop yourself. I think that social contact between the students among themselves and between the teachers and the students is really important for German students. And we wanted to stay connected to our students. We wanted to help them by getting along with COVID, and we did some smaller events, like for example, when we were allowed to go to school again, we played music in the breaks, or we even uploaded messages for students on our Moodle online platform, just to tell them that we still think about them and we still want to touch or still want to stay in contact with them. We had a riddle page on our online platform, which was for multiple choice questions, and was a bit against the covered boredom to just
There
tell
was a cooking
younger.
event. As far as we know, cooking is rather important in the
Yes,
Indian
and then
culture. We also had that cooking event. Can you tell us
we
more
had
about
a big cooking event as well, and we still kept on going with. We have students, 4 students from students tutoring platform, and we still kept on doing this because we were only 2 persons to meet, so it was still going. And we asked some younger students also to send us some pictures of their animals, or to send us some pictures of what they are doing, just to stay in contact. All those things weren't really amazing or effective, but they were signs to show the students that we still want to have a school life besides studying. We still want to have something fun or something, yes, something.
And it really helped us boost the students' motivation, because togetherness is one of the things that really helped us to battle the crisis. So actually, if we sum up our little talk and take a close look at the Indo-German relations, which I think is a perfect thing to do. Also, togetherness between Germany and India is rather important. We have a long-standing history of mutual respect and exchange and a keen interest in each other's culture. We are emotionally and culturally intertwined. Parad or Germany ham aaj dost hote hai. Students, colleagues, sirs, let us keep this relationship alive. This is the end of my presentation. I would like you to join in with questions that you might have, either to Rebecca or questions that I might be able to answer. If you've got any questions, just feel free to ask those questions. And I see that there are some notes in the chat. So let us take a look at the notes in the chat. All right. No questions so far. Are there any questions that you have?
मेरा आप सभी से आग्रह है कि अगर आपका किसी का भी कोई क्वेश्चन है जो आप मिस्टर मार्टिन बायर या रेबेका से पूछना चाहते हैं, तो आप या तो अपना माइक अनम्यूट करके पूछ सकते हैं या फिर आप चैट बॉक्स में भी अपना प्रश्न रख सकते हैं.
Hello, sir. Hello, Martin.
Yes,
sir.
sure.
Hello, Deepak, sir. I am a student of Deepak, sir, at the Government Model Sanskriti Senior School, Sector 55. I want to ask, as we are students, so what are the major consequences of this online teaching platform?
Do you want me to answer it or Rebecca?
Any one of them.
Okay. For teachers, one of the consequences is that we have not reached the full potential of distant learning environments, especially when it comes to international exchange. I think there are a lot of things that we can do. And I also believe that using online learning platforms in a meaningful way can help us to make offline teaching even better. I also see that we should invest more money in digital resources and not leave the field to global players that sell us their software, but we must be committed to creating our own software just as well. And last but not least, which I think is the most important thing, there is no such thing as the best learning platform that can replace interaction between teachers and students, understanding each other, cooperating, helping each other. So the best thing that can happen using online learning platforms is a regular flow of information between students and teachers, trying to find the same goals and trying to achieve the same things in their lives and in their academic careers. Rebecca, is there something you would like to add?
I think there's nothing, just one small point. We live in a digitalized world, and I think it's really important to use digital resources in German class more often, whether it's during COVID or it's normal school life, because in our future we will surely have to handle with social media and all those internet stuff.
Yeah, just to add one more thing to the one thing that you've added. Actually, we were probably too convinced that our students knew how to handle all the technical devices and all the online learning platforms that we came up with, and it showed, even though that our students spent a long time online every day, there were still things to learn, things that did not go as smoothly as we had hoped. So that's also one of the consequences. All right, any more questions?
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much.
Yes, Martin, there is a question for Rebecca that what do you think do you suggest that the schools should go online only instead of opening physically for the students in future? Our student Sania is asking this question.
That's a really interesting question. I think it's really important to be able to have this online schooling, but the personal interaction and the social contact is something that can't be replaced by any video conferences or anything like that. And for me, it's clear that in the future we have to open schools and we have to have this personal interaction face to face from students to teachers. And I think this is why I would say that online platforms can't be exchanged by a real life school.
Is there any other question?
Good evening, everybody. My name is Anu Wadia, and I am from DAV Jain. My question is that as we have observed, students, during the online sessions, most of the students, they get distracted and off the track of the subject. So something that you can suggest that we can do to overcome this?
This is a rather tricky question because we, of course, face the very same problem because there's so many distractions online. It's so easy to open just another browser and get engaged in some online games. We had the very same problem. So the only thing you can probably do is face-to-face interaction using, a video conference, but even that does not help. We cannot just position parents behind their kids because they have to work. I think if you have found a solution to that problem, let us know. We would love to learn from India. It's the same thing.
Thank you, sir. That's a tricky answer. Okay. Thank you so much, sir.
Yes, Martin, one last question.
Yeah, sure.
If anybody else will ask, definitely will give them chance to ask the question. But one last question, that in India, we people believe in staying connected. It's a part of Indian culture. Fine. The question that I have is basically for this, keeping the students in mind, we people have conducted various online yoga session programs just for the, physical as well as the mental being of the students. And we conduct the meditation sessions also for the students, and we suggest the students to meditate. Fine, because during this corona period, everything was disturbed. So we have, in our culture only, we have so many things that we have suggested our students. So what kind of things or techniques you have used for the physical and the mental being of the students in Germany, and especially in Lessing Gymnasium?
I could answer to this for once. So we had also a sports page on our online platform where our sport teachers took a video of them doing some exercises. And this was really a lot of fun. And we could redo it and send them videos or pictures. And we also had one exciting challenge. It was about jogging or running, and I think the whole school run about 1,000 kilometers or something like that. We run a lot, and then we had it was for 1 month, and class which was running the most got a prize or something like that.
We don't have, as you know, Deepakji, we don't have a tradition of yoga in Germany. Sports is probably something that is of the same rank. I can see that there is something we have to learn from India once more, because the well-being, the psyche of our students was something that we did badly neglect in the first months of the crisis. We just did not see how students were suffering. And I think yoga would have been a good way, a good holistic approach for us, to get in touch with our students. We must, and this is one of the most important consequences of the crisis, we must get closer again. We must celebrate a new culture of togetherness. And I believe that there's a lot of things that we can learn from India. Allow me one closing statement. There are a couple of things we've missed out on in the last 2 years. There was no exchange programs. There were no field trips. We could not engage in extracurricular activities. But the one thing I do miss most is going to India. And I think that's one of the things that a lot of people in Vinanden share, the experience of being at home and welcome in an Indian environment. We do miss that so much.
Thank you very much. India is also missing a guest like you. Fine. It's really an honor for us to to have you as a guest. So if there is any other question,
yes, sir.
Yes, Khushbu, you can ask.
Good evening, everyone. First of all, myself, Khushbu Singh, and I'm a student of Government Model Senior Secondary School, Sector 55, Faridabad. Welcome, sir, and welcome, ma'am, to our country, and thank you for joining our meeting and make this meeting special. My question from Rebecca, ma'am, that as a student, what she do like during this period, during this lockdown? What activity do she like most?
I'm sorry, could somebody repeat the question?
What were the activities that you preferred? What were your favorite activities during the lockdown?
From our school. So I'm more or less not somebody who takes part at the activities. I'm the person who wants to organize the activities. So I had a lot of fun at this little page I told you about, and because I was organizing this page, and I gave them some exercise to do, and they really enjoyed it, the students. So this was, I think, my favorite one.
Okay, thank you, Rebecca. I feel now the questions are over.
Excuse me, sir.
Yes, Leena Kaushik. Yes, Leena, please.
I'm also having a question, sir.
Yes, Leena.
My name is Leena Kaushik from class 9th, and my question is to Rebecca ma'am that during this lockdown and COVID-19 disease, so during lockdown, the online classes were going on. So what disadvantages and advantages was there during this time?
What were the advantages of the online classes? What was?
Yeah.
Yes, okay. So I preferred those online classes with video conferences because you could see your teacher. You could, through seeing, you can also see the emotions he gives by telling you something, and this was really good. And it was more structured to have this kind of online class. And it was even better to have online class as well, because the numbers were getting really high in Germany. So it was good that we were able to stay at home and not being infected by somebody.
Okay,
Thank
thank you very much. तो आज के इस कार्यक्रम में आई थिंक मैं आशा करता हूं आप सभी ने बहुत कुछ सुना और समझा कि किस तरीके से इस महामारी ने पूरे विश्व को जकड़ा है। मेरा जो पर्सनल ओपिनियन था आज के इस टॉपिक को लेने का और स्पेशली जर्मनी से इस डेलीगेशन को इस ऑनलाइन प्लेटफॉर्म पर बुलाने का वो यही था कि कहीं ना कहीं हमारे बच्चों में, हम शिक्षकों में भी एक ये बात थी कि कहीं हमारा देश ही तो ऐसा देश नहीं है जहां हम स्ट्रगल कर रहे हैं और हम कोप अप नहीं कर पा रहे अपने इस एजुकेशन ड्यूरिंग द कोरोना पीरियड। बट आपने सुना और आपने देखा कि कैसे जो प्रॉब्लम्स हम फेस कर रहे हैं, हमसे कहीं ज्यादा प्रॉब्लम्स जर्मनी में फेस की गई। जो प्रॉब्लम्स हमारे सामने थी, जो स्टूडेंट्स के चैलेंजेस हमारे सामने थे, सेम चैलेंजेस हमने, मेरा मार्टिन से बहुत अच्छा डिस्कशन हुआ उसमें। आई यूज्ड टू मुझे पता यही चलता था कि चैलेंजेस सभी इनको भी मिल रहे हैं। और एक चीज हमारे पास मार्टिन, फॉर योर इंफॉर्मेशन, आई वुड लाइक टू टेल यू दैट वी हैव अ ह्यूज नेशनल रिपोजिटरी of ICT, all the educational material is there, which is being prepared by the government of India. Means it is a matter of center as well as state. So every state has its own repository, as well as there was a national repository. And as soon as the students were, or you can say the whole India was locked down, that the material came out from that repository, and we never felt that students, they are missing their lectures or they are missing their studies. Yeah, of course we know it very well, and we all in India also, we accept that physical classroom can never be replaced with the online teaching. It is a hardcore fact. And everything was, we have a quotation in India, in Sanskrit we say Vasudeva Kutumbakam, this whole universe is a home. Fine. So wahi cheez, the same thing we observed, that we all have the same problem. And as you said and you suggested, that we all have to work together to fight this problem. Fine. And definitely in India, we have many things in our culture and in our tradition, that helped for the mental and, physical well-being of our students. So I am very thankful to you for joining, as well as I'm thankful to Rebecca also for motivating our students. I just want my students to be motivated by this talk. They should not feel that we are facing the challenges. Challenges are there for the whole world. So with the in the end, I would like to thank you once again. And we in India, we close our sessions with a thought in the mind that this whole world will become a better place to live. So I request everybody कि हम आज के सत्र का समापन करेंगे कल्याण मंत्र के साथ। सभी अगर अपना वीडियो ऑन करना चाहते हैं तो वीडियो ऑन कर सकते हैं। आई रिक्वेस्ट एवरीबडी कि हम कल्याण मंत्र के साथ आज के सत्र का समापन करेंगे। अगर आप अपना अच्छी पोजीशन में बैठकर आप अपना वीडियो ऑन कर सकते हैं। सो आज के इस सेशन में हमारे साथ शिक्षा संस्कृति उत्थान न्यास की को-कोऑर्डिनेटर डॉक्टर प्रतिभा भी जुड़ी हैं। आपका भी हार्दिक स्वागत और धन्यवाद, आज आप हमारे कार्यक्रम में जुड़े। सो आई रिक्वेस्ट एवरीबडी टू जॉइन योर हैंड्स फॉर द कल्याण मंत्र। ओम सर्वे भवन्तु सुखिनः, सर्वे सन्तु निरामया, सर्वे भद्राणि पश्यन्तु, मा कश्चित् दुःखभाग् भवेत्। ओम शांति शांति शांति। सभी को हार्दिक धन्यवाद आज के इस कार्यक्रम में जुड़ने के लिए। और अगर किसी का कोई भी प्रश्न है तो वो मार्टिन का ईमेल आईडी मेरे पास है, मैं आप सभी के साथ शेयर करूंगा। बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद। Thank you very much.
Thank you, Deep. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Martin. Thank you,
Thank you, ma'am.
Bye.